Good morning, everyone. Let us wait for 2 minutes. Good morning, everyone. Today is the session 2. I'm going to discuss about mastering microservices, resilience with the Spring Boot 2.5 and Spring Cloud. Actually, there's no concept that we're going to talk about. Uh, this is about me. I have to presented my presentation last session 1. So I'm at the moment I'm going to share first about the Facebook group so that you are familiar with the group Facebook, and then you're going to message me. I'm going to ask you that in case that you have questions regarding my course, regarding my template, you can post your questions in the Facebook group so that everybody will read your post. Then I'm going to respond to your question in the Facebook group, so that will be able to help everyone that you're going to address the problem. So this is my Facebook fan page. So I'm going to share the Facebook group. If you haven't yet followed this page, then you can follow me on this page, Facebook group. For the group, Facebook group, how can I explore the Facebook group? So Cloud Microservices Certified Professional. I'm going to click on this one. Okay. This is a great opportunity for you to share your experience, tutorial, and tips about how to achieve the cloud certification and how to achieve the microservices development with Spring Boot 2.5 and Spring Cloud Bootcamp. So you can start posting your question here in the Facebook group. So this is a public group. It is visible to everyone. It's also visible to employers. Alright. Again, then also you can start message me here something like this. Message going to box. Okay, I understand there's a private profile feature, so I have to okay. I'm going to back to the slide, and you can have message me on Twitter or Facebook group, and then you can send me an email with this email, jesselyj@look.com. What we see today is to discuss about Spring Cloud Kubernetes versus Spring Cloud Netflix. If we still have time until 12, so I'm going to finish the demo of Spring Cloud on Netflix. So I don't think it is hard for you and for me to configure the Netflix. Before start the development, you need to be aware of which of these microservices design pattern that you're going to use. The first one, you have to understand first about the microservices design pattern, which approach that you're going to apply in your development, and think about it when you design before starting the development, and just to make sure that you have the templates ready for for the developers and also other team, right? So you're going to share your template to the team, then you're going to present it what are the patterns that you're going to use. The second one, then you can start the development for the microservices. The third one, which container platform. So I'm talking about microservices container platform that will be supporting like Kubernetes and OpenShift. Okay, so remember that we have the benefits of microservices container platform, right? So the first one, how are we going to address high availability, high scalability, and then what else? Self healing, strong security, and the last one is resiliency. Once you finish this course, so I'm expecting that you'll be expecting that I'm going to send the certificate of attendance. This is the sample, the certificate that you wanted to see. So the certificate of attendance, we have, I can put here your first name and last name. For attending the 2-day virtual course, Mastering Microservices Resilience with Spring Boot 2.5 and Spring Cloud Kubernetes. It is including service discovery, config server, and config map, load balancing, something like that. If you wanted to get the Spring Cloud Netflix, so I will issue another this certificate for attending the 2-day virtual course, Mastering Microservices Resilience with Spring Boot 2.5 and Spring Cloud Netflix. So just let me know if you are interested to get the certificate along with the template. Okay? Maybe after the course. Yeah. So I'm going to discuss the Spring Cloud tools. Provide tools for developers to quickly develop some of the common patterns in distributed systems, such as configuration management, service discovery, circuit breakers, intelligent routing, and so on. So coordination of distributed system leads to boilerplate patterns. And using Spring Cloud, developers can quickly stand up services and applications that implement those patterns. They will work well in any distributed environment, including the developers on laptop, bare metal data center, and managed platform or microservices container platform. I'm going to share the technical manual guide. So this is the manual guide. It is intended to be used by a subscribed member of YouTube channel named Jesse Joseph. It is intended that a subscribed member can read this document and coordinate their efforts in the microservices development and deployment. So you cannot reclaim or resell the same template and the source code and the same source code. You cannot. So let us try to imagine that you're the first time developer. How can I start? So let's proceed with the prerequisite. So the first, you need to download the source code. So you can have here link. So you need to download the OpenJDK 16 latest. Then the question, how can I install the OpenJDK? So you can have link here, something like this. Scroll down, something like that. So you have to read this instruction below just to make sure you follow the instruction carefully, something like this. But I, I don't think it is hard for you. It's easy for to follow the instruction here. And then Maven, if you want to use the Maven, of course you can have link, download link, and how to link, and Docker desktop, Spring Tools for Eclipse, MongoDB, and Red Hat Quay server repository. Okay, and then also you can have a load testing, including pod load testing and ingress load testing. So here we have the Kubernetes plugin set up. Actually, we have the 67 pages. So you need to read all this document. You need to read all this section. But I'm going to show you how to follow the steps so that we will not miss out anything. Okay. Alright. So for the how can I enable Kubernetes on Docker? I already give you the screenshot here. Then how can I verify the kubectl version? So you have to launch git bash or PowerShell. So I would recommend you to download and install the git bash. Git bash or git bash, something like that. kubectl version. It's not working. Yeah, you notice that? So I'm going to maximize kubectl version. Kubernetes Docker. Let me check if this running. Okay, it's running. If you don't remember the exact version, you can have help. kubectl version. If you're looking the version, something like here version. So your Kubernetes version is 1.21. That's the latest version for the Kubernetes. Okay, so clear. So you have to create namespace before starting the ingress installer. For example, here kubectl create ns cloud micro local. kubectl get ins, something like this. So you have cloud microlocals. So we are supposed to use this one, not this one. So how can I remove? kubectl remove ins cloud micro local. Okay, sorry, that's insupportant. Okay, it will take some time to delete the namespace. Okay, when you create a namespace in Kubernetes, that means you're going to use that, you're going to deploy your microservices. So the rest namespace says will not be affected. Okay, give me 1 second. So the next one is you have to install ingress controller. So launch git bash and then create the namespace. kubectl get ins something. I already installed here. I already created the namespace as well as the ingress controller plugin. So something like this. How can I access CD mastering microservices complete banking cloud kiddies plugins? Okay, then you can have YAML file. You can execute then something like this. Don't worry about the namespace. Then you can have apply dash f ingress controller, and then you need to install the metric server for the auto scaling, something like this. Okay, kubectl apply dash metric server. So how can I remove if I don't need the metric server? So don't forget to set the exact gig na memory for your Docker. If you don't, you will experience the performance issue in your Windows laptop. It is possible that you cannot access the Windows anymore. So unless you're going to shut down the laptop and then restart. Okay, something like this. This script file, you have to execute this. Set the limit from 2 gig to 8 gig instead of unlimited without defining the git memory. Then Docker will consume the whole memory inside your laptop. You will run into a common issue because Docker was eating all your memory. Okay, so this is the standard microservices setup and dependency that you're going to use, not in related to LAT gateway, not related to Eureka, not related to config server. So for example, you have the deposit microservice, you have user microservice and withdrawal microservice, and then you have to follow this setup. I already give you some screenshots here. For example, okay, let's start with the tools. So how to start with the Empire projects? Let's start with the user microservice. Here, I'm going to screen. Oops. Yes. User. Then choose JDK16. Then change the company here. Then add microservices. When you add the microservices, other developers will be your understand your design that you're going to use the microservice design patterns. Okay, that's our standard approach and package for microservices. Then user, so you don't have to use the snapshot just like the framework standard version. So you don't have to use snapshot version. You can start the v1 and then also define the description for this application. There is user, microservice, and then XYZ, microservices, user. Okay. Next, I'm going to use Spring Cloud, Cloud Bootstrap, Sloot. Doesn't exist here. Just like this. Okay. 1 second. I'm going to use the gate. If you don't remember the exact Maven here, so we're going to Sloot, Cloud Bootstrap, and then Resilience 4G. Okay. If you're going to add a Kubernetes, actually we don't have Kubernetes here dependencies, but you can get the exact Kubernetes Maven from the Maven website. Okay, so we can add later that after creating the project. Finish. So I'm going to compare. Let's just say if you are the first time developer, so I'm just going to follow the instruction here. Here, compare. So right click on the select the project, something like this. Select build path, configure or add libraries. Okay, so here properties, Java build path. If you wanted to use the JDK 15, we're not supposed to use that, so we're going to use on JDK 16. For example, I'm going to edit and then install JRE. As you can see, they are using OpenJDK 15 by default, so I did not even download the JDK 15. Eclipse itself will be the one to install for you. Now I'm going to choose the OpenJDK 16. Drive C from for files. Here, adapt OpenJDK 16. Finish. Then click apply, close. Then use the workspace default JDK 16. Finish and apply close. So let me check. Here, something like this. So now the GR16 library is using JDK 16. The next one is right click on the package name, microservices, select new package. We're going to create the packages, the standard packages for microservices. For example, here config, something like here. So I'm going to discuss. So what are the differences between the packages? Something like here. API, component, config, constant, controller, entity, handler, model, service, util. But when you use the exact package, you can have this one, but not all the package that you're going to use. For example, you're not going to use the database, and then you don't need this one, entity, as well as repository. So the first one is user. It does main method, which is the starting point for JVM to start execution of a Java program. Without the main method, JVM will not execute the program. Okay, the next one is API. All REST controller classes that you have to use for building REST API in a declarative way. It uses HTTP requests to get put, post, and delete data. For the component, this is for the component classes that allow Spring to automatically detect our custom beans. In other words, without having to write any explicit code, the Spring will scan our application for classes annotated with component, instantiate them, and inject any dependencies. Okay? So I'm going to read it for you so that you will be able to understand the package. So what we're going to use. Okay, I'm going to ask you. So actually guys, I cannot identify your name. Maybe you can say to me hello so that I can see your name for your certificate attendance. Okay. Config use, this is the for configuration the classes that helps in Spring annotation based on configuration and indicates that a class declare one or more beans method and may be processed by the Spring container to generate bean definition and service requests for those beans at runtime. This is for the config, and then also this is a constant class. When you create a constant class, which can make our program more easily read and understood by others. To define a variable as a constant, we just need to add the keyword, the final in front of the variable declaration. Okay? So, imagine you are the first timer. So, you just have to follow here the package. Then you can start with the development API. Okay? So, and then entity, repository. Entity, there is an entity map to the database table. And then also, user repository, that is used as a mechanism for encapsulation, storage, retrieval, search the behavior. So, you don't have to use this one without using database. And then for the handling package, that is used to handle the specific exceptions. The next one is model, that is used for requests and response the models. Okay guys, and then also the service, that is used to write the business logic in a different layer separated from REST controller. So when you have the REST controller, I don't want to see the more business logic you implemented in the REST controller, because it's not a recommended approach that you design, because it will confuse for the developers and as well as me. Okay, the utility class known as helper class, which contains just a static method, it is stateless, cannot be instantiated. Okay, so for example, you have the utility class like HTTP utility, cookie utility, something like that. You're going to improve and maintain the cookie utility standard for developers that you can use this. Okay, again guys, if you have if you don't want to receive the delay message from others, if you have some question, actually you can message here on the Facebook, and as well as a Facebook group. You can post your comments. So something like your inbox, then I can even read your message, guys. Again, don't forget that if you want to use YouTube chat, so I understand it will delay a few seconds. Okay, I think we can start now to create. I'm going to show you guys. New package. The next one is component. New package. Config. Do not confuse. Sometimes you got here component is not much with the document. So how can I edit here? Just new package and delete here something. Then delete. Okay. So you have 3. The next is custom. I'm not going to use the entity package and repository package. For this one, user microservice, we're going to use the LDAP. Okay, we can launch the local LDAP server. So that you can get familiarized with that. That is common project. So I understand some developers are already familiar with the database configuration. You can set up the database locally. Okay, so then the next one is handler. Next model. Service. Util. The next is create the following the properties file by copying and pasting it, something like here. So we can I put here under the source main resource folder. Okay, now so just copy then paste. The next one is I'm going to add the required dependencies here. So I'm going to show you the highlighted yellow here. So you need to add the actuator, Kubernetes client all, started web, and then also starter validations. Home. So you can just copy here something like this. So you notice that you can click on, double click, then copy. Okay, just copy, paste. Okay, so this is how we configure the plugins in the dependency Maven. Okay, if you don't remember the Maven, you can search our document here for your reference. And then also next one is, if you wanted to use the Docker, then you have to use the layers enable. So how can I enable the multi-layers on the Spring Boot maybe the plugin? Something like this. Just copy. Imagine I am the first time developer here. Okay, just copy everything and don't miss out those steps here I provided. Here user, then right click Docker file, new file. Okay, again right click new, then file. I'm going to create Docker file. Double click, copy on this, paste on Docker file. Guys, this is the Docker image that I'm going to use of OpenJDK 16 as a builder, because I'm going to need to extract the jar file. Then after that, I'm going to choose the folders. Then I'm going to move the specific folder into the container, so that you don't need to include all the folders inside the jar, because it's not needed for the containerization approach. Okay guys, and this one, the second line, imagine that I'm going to copy the specific dependencies, Spring Boot loader, snapshot dependency, application, and don't forget to change the port. So what if you're planning to use the port 8081, then inside your project you're going to use that the port 8081, you have to set that inside the resources. So for example, here I'm going to add here another properties. Okay, then server dot port, something like here the one, but I'm going to show you next step. There is a properties file. Okay, the next is I'm going to use the dynamic version of variable. So how can I this one? Navigate to POM XML file, then you just copy the release version. Copy. You can find here inside the POM XML after the artifact ID. Okay, something like that. Then release, you have to create a variable dynamic. Okay, version 1. That's it. Here we have the bootstrap properties. Just copy. This is for the actuator that you're going to use. As I mentioned earlier about the Spring Boot starter actuator. This is how I configure and choose the exact value. For the JMX, it means that is a Java messaging that we will not use this one for the container. So the first one is JMX enable. You have to disable that. And then also we have properties for the Kubernetes and OpenShift. Just copy. And replace this one. Don't forget the server port should be matched with the Docker file. Okay, 8081 and then bootstrap 8081. Next one is enable discovery client. I'm gonna find here user application. And Okay guys, I'm going to show you why we need to set false into proxy bin methods. So I'm going to share the description so that you'll be able to understand this. How can I view description here? So you can click open, press the control guys, this, press control plus click. Okay, so for the proxy bin methods, that means I'm not going to use the components, the configure from other external configuration. So I'm not going to use the intervene references with other configuration class, as well as for the external calls to this configuration. So that means it will not impact your application performance. Okay, so next, now we're going to create the resilience for jconfig here. So close all. Just copy, put there, pass, paste, just copy. Guys, if you are experiencing delay 50 seconds or 100 milliseconds, and then it will assist you on the circuit breaker approach. For example, you're going to use the circuit breaker approach, then you're going to display the response without experiencing the internal server error, something like that. So for example, time duration 4 seconds, you will experience more than 4 seconds delay in your API, and then it will call this one automatically. This is auto configuration guys, you don't have to set anything. Okay, I'm going to show you the next one for after setting up the project. Okay, so just continue to the next one. Is we're going to create the security dependencies. Here are the required dependencies here. For example, so what are the security dependencies? So just double click on this and then you can copy. Okay guys, do not copy everything inside the document. As you can see, we have dot dot, that means not here, so just copy. So where I can put dot inside the meme.pom XML file, not in the dependency management. Okay, here this line and now. Okay, then save. Okay guys, we have the security, we have also JWT token that we're going to use that. Okay, next. Now guys, I'm going to create the component class for JWT token. Okay, just copy here guys. Component, did you see the component guys? So if you miss something here, I did not put here, you can add the component. Don't worry, because the documentation is complete. I already provided the exact the package, the component here. In case if you don't find here, just double check that I have to specify the component here. Okay, copy. So everything is spaced. So I don't have to explain exactly, guys, because I have defined here the description with this kind of class. So for example, if you don't have a JWT, so what will be expecting message? Sorry, you are not authorized to access this resource. Then responding with an unauthorized error message, something like that. Okay. Next, to close. The next one is we're going to create the cookie utility class. So this one, cookie utility class, is an optional, but if you wanted to use this feature so that you don't need to set the JWT token header per microservice. Okay, but don't worry about the cookie. Actually, it's a safe, secured here. Okay, I already use it in my current project and as well as my previous projects. So, and they try to, we have another security team, a cyber security team. They're the ones to work on this, to check the security weaknesses, to scan the classes. If they find something suspicious code, they find something uh, not following the standard, the code approach and coding security, they will be the one to report that security issues in your applications. In my case, yesterday they reported no security issues found any API. That's good news for us. That's good news for us. That's good news for our team. Okay, guys. In this, microservices is ready for production, but it's up to you the rest design pattern that you're going to use, guys. But if you are still confusing with the approach and design pattern, then you can ask me on the Facebook group. And just to make sure you post your question in the public group so that everybody will read your posts that you are experiencing the issue, then I will provide the solution for you. Okay, guys. This is a great opportunity for us Filipinos, on everyone can get the familiarized with this approach. Now I'm going to copy. Okay. Looks like the screen. Okay, I'm going to modify something here. Okay. One second. So I cannot even double click. Okay. So everyone, okay, at least we can double check this one and it can start. Okay, let's close it. Okay. It's simple, something like that. Cookie util. Then double click on this one, just copy, then paste. So this one, we have setting the set secured. The secured is equal to true. Okay, don't worry about that. So we never encounter the security issues from the cybersecurity team. The next one is TTP utility. This is how we can get the IP address and how we set the IP address in the JWT token. Okay? So then you will experience some error in the local here, something like here. For example, some API constants, meaning we don't have yet utility class, but we're going there. Okay, guys? Okay, let's moving on. Generate ako ito. So now we're going to create the constant class. Then new class, double click, just copy. This is the model class. The next one, API handler. Take note that we are using the package handler. So if you want to explore, guys, it is already existing, something like this, copy and then search interfaces. For example, here is this name. Then click OK, finish. Okay? Then just copy, replace with this one. Then you will experience error here. Then you can create the API constant. Just click on this one link, something like that. No, so we're going to choose the constant class here, then finish. Okay, then finding class, next one. And this one, guys, entity exception handler, that is an optional because we don't have a database SQL. We're going to use LDAP, so I don't think is this necessary unless you have a referencer. Or if I am the first time, so I'm not familiar with this, I have to copy it is working or not. Okay, I'm going to show you. That is fine if you put that here. This is the global exception handler. If you encounter any exception that is not related to the front end, the internal issues, then you will present the exact issue. You don't need to present the detailed issue to the users. So that's why I'm going to create the global exception handler, that we should not display the detailed error that should not be exposed to the public ones. Especially we have the security threats from around the world. They're trying to get to your code, to check the source code, something error, detail, exception. That's why I'm going to use this one to replace with the detail exception. Now I'm going to token provider component here. So we don't have much time to read line by line because we have only a few hours here. But later on you will understand once you explore the source code. When you try to copy and paste, then you can try to run the program, then troubleshoot. You'll be able to understand that. So what is the use of this class? Let us just say that I am the beginner. So all I have to do this to follow the template. Yes. Especially they're not familiar with your microservices development approach. They are the first time, but they have experience working as a Java developer. Now this is JWT authentication filter. Once you finish the microservice development project, then you're going to create another project. Then you're going to follow this. And actually, you don't need to do that. All you have to do is to copy paste another project. Then you're going to refactor, just to rename the project, something like that. And then just a few changes in the POM XML file that you need to replace the project name. But it's not hard. I'm going to show you later. The next one is properties. We're going to use this one, GWT. Properties. It says here application.properties. Okay. Then the next one is we're going to use the Swagger. Specific dependencies here. How can we choose here? Let it form. Then footer. Swagger class config. Don't forget that is for package config. We are okay. Home controller. So upon check-in, we don't have a controller to package, right? So the difference between two REST controller and controller, the REST controller, that means you're going to create the API. And the controller, you're going to navigate to the exact page. Okay? It's similar to the front end. What's the meaning of the controller? Right? In React project and Angular project, it's the same with the concept here. Yes, we have the controller here. So we are done with the Swagger. And the next one is we're going to use REST template dependency. That is for calling the third-party APIs. Sometimes that you're trying to call the third-party API which is not working, but their developers told you it is working in their machine. So how can I address? So I understand that you will experience the security issues. Then you can ask them to provide the certificate. The other team, why should I provide the certificate? But you told them that it's not working for their API, for them to call the API. Okay, guys? So I'm going to show you. You don't need to ask them regarding the certificate, SSL certificate. And then also token, anything that they have the security in relation to their API, you will not encounter that issue. Here we have REST template config. REST template config. Okay? And then copy, paste. I'm going to show you the code here. Here, guys. So when you set the REST template HTTP enable to true, and then this application, this source code will be able to automatically download their certificate from their API. So you don't have to do anything with this. It's a simple, just like this. Okay, that's all. API config. You're going to enable this one, guys, true, so that you'll be able to download automatically the certificate from their API. There's no need for you to ask them regarding the certificate. The next one is user microservices development, guys. The difference between the standard means that you have the standard that is applied to other microservice every time you create, and this one I'm gonna talk about the user LDAP implementation. Be careful here, we don't have here dependencies. Yes. Next one, update the following the properties file. You have to replace all, something like that. Here, guys, this is the local test environment that you're going to launch, so that you don't need to connect to other LDAP server during the development. During the development, then you can define the local LDAP here. So instead of downloading the LDAP, installing in your local machine, you don't have to do that. The Spring Boot will provide you the LDAP local test running in your machine, and then you can define the specific your local host. Then you will notice that you have two ports such as 83, 89 now running inside your Spring Boot, as well as another port 80, 81. Okay. The next is we're going to update the rest so that we can easily identify the environment, what we use, what environment specific we're going to use. So for this one, dev, use microservices dev, right? This one, sit. Witty. Okay. So the difference between application properties other environment, this is the default value. Once you have another variable that is already existing, so the application, for example, if we have import app name, then you have also here this input app name will be overridden by application dev properties here. Okay. The next one is okay. So now this is how we encrypt the LDAP connection. For example, when you deploy the Kubernetes, you don't want to expose the user password and as well as LDAP server URL. You don't want to expose, right, guys? Because once you have production, I would suggest you not to put this one inside the properties file. Instead of putting this inside the properties file in application prod, you have to create the config map local, something like this, secret. As you can see here, we have the server URL, we have the password attribute, so they cannot read your encrypted value once you deploy into Kubernetes microservices. Okay. Right. So this is how, for example, I'm going to show you git bash here. User password. I want to encrypt this user password. This, something like this. Wait, 64. This is the default encryption that recommended by Kubernetes. But if you wanted to change this one from base 64 to advanced encryption, actually you can configure. Right now we don't have that, but actually that you can still use the base 64 in the production, because nobody can read your config map. Config map is being protected by the Kubernetes container. So only the admin user will be able to access the config map and secrets. Okay, so then also if you want decrypt something with 64 user password. Okay, now config map local, I'm going to create copy. So you have to create there K8S, that means Kubernetes. So where I can create example here, folder, new file, config map local file. The next one, deploy script files. Guys, this is actually free registration, free the public image repository that you're going to push. Okay, from Docker image, you're going to push that Docker image to the repository, the quiet, then you can use it for the environment such as development, seat, UAT. So if you don't want to protect the public image repository, that is fine, then you're going to deploy the prod. But as a standard security practices, you have to use the private security repository. Then I'm going to show you how to navigate, how to quiet, Red Hat quiet. Yes. So Red Hat Quiet is a private container registry that stores, builds, and deploys container images. It analyzes your images for security vulnerabilities, identifying potential issues that can help you mitigate security risks. So if you want to subscribe the private container registry, so the pricing you wanted to see, sorry, not here. Pricing, I'm looking for pricing. Plans. By default, I don't have the private repositories here. By default, you can push your images to unlimited public repos. By default, I don't get charged $15 per month. If you want to enable private repository, you can have this one. But the public repository, you don't have the security scanner to check the container. Okay, so look at this, my settings. Here, my current plan, I don't have the private repositories, but you can still push your image to the public repository. For example, I'm going to explore here, guys. This is a user microservice. You see, just last Wednesday, I have pushed the images to the user microservice. And tags, this is the version 1, guys. Remember, compared to this one, I'm going to share a document here. V1 organization Jessery J, your microservice name user. Then how can I get login token, guys? Guys, if you don't have time to get the login token, if you don't have time to register, you can even use this one, my login token. You can push your image repository. So for this practice, for example, here, as you can see, for the public repository, you can get the security scan result is passed. So I don't have the vulnerabilities in terms of logins. That's why I told you so before that if you are going to use the Eureka, you will notice that security scan result. It will change it to fail. But is this still working? You can proceed with that image. Okay. Next, this is a tag history you wanted it to see. And then we don't have here something like this. So we have another security here. Okay. So let's go back. This is my organization, Jessery J. You can even create another new organization without even getting charged. This is free unless you are using the private repository that should not be exposed outside the internal company. Yes, you can use that. That is fine, no charge. Okay, guys, this is free. So instead of pushing, so for the Docker image, you can even your local image repository to push this to Docker image. That is fine if you don't want to use the Red Hat Quay. Okay, for example here, navigate. So let's proceed. Docker file. So what will be name Docker file? So remember, check this one. So it's up to you what will be name. For example, deploy, something like this. Local. This is for the local environment, but you can push your local image repository to Red Hat Quay. And then you can even get the something like this, docker.push, and then you'll be able to get the public image repository from Red Hat Quay. So in order for you to check the security vulnerabilities, so just copy. So it's the same, guys. You can apply this to every microservice you created. Okay, and don't forget to change this microservice name. For example, you have withdrawal, you can change this one, withdrawal, for the withdrawal microservice. And then the next one is microgateway, something like that. If you are going to add the version, something like this. If you're going to upgrade the version for your microgateway, you have existing there v1 in Red Hat Quay. Okay, and then user. Now we have the custom class. That will eliminate the issues here. Then paste. So as you notice that we have company JWT. So then you can replace this with your company name. to match the JWT token. If you have another JWT token, then that is not compatible with other the company's JWT, it is not working, guys. Okay, and then inform everyone that you are using the company JWT XYZ JWT. That is for cookies and then as well as header. So I'm going to show you how can get this XYZ JWT in the cookies when you are using Postman. Okay. Okay, the next one is logging response. Okay. So, yeah. 1 second. This is the LDAP implementation service. Security config, API, then face. Okay, looks like that we have the Kubernetes here, deployment, view, navigate main. There's something I'm missing here. Apply script files. Oh, there's no deploy. So I'm going to add here, guys. Just one moment. Deploy YAML file. Here, okay, let's proceed. So what's next? So now we're going to deploy, guys, microservice. So I think we are already done the development. That's 1 second. Yeah. Okay, so we need to fix a little changes here that we have issues. Let's find out here what are the issues. X, Y, Z, JWT. So just Control Shift O. Okay. PI constants that we have here. Company JWT. Then replace this one, guys. Company standard, the variable. Okay. Next one is explore. Just click on this one. What is this? Functions. Yes, working. Next is click on this. Company JWT. That's it. So now you're going to refresh the Maven dependency. Maven. Let's update project. First, update release. And then you will notice that there are changes here. You see? So you have to change. Back again. Okay, JDK 16. In utility, we have some issue here. Company. JWT. Close all. So before we deploy, I'm going to discuss, guys, again, this one for the secret J3J full secret. This is from Red Hat Quay. So how can I get this one Docker config JSON? So you're going to navigate to Red Hat repository. For example, here, this is J3J/user. Let me check. None. Then let's go to account settings here. So Docker still stores password entered on the command line in plain text. It is therefore highly recommended to generate an encrypted version of your password to use for Docker login. So you can click on generate, encrypted the password. Once you get the click in, just choose secret YAML file Kubernetes. So what it looks like that. So what it looks like this, something like this. Just copy and replace with this. Okay, guys. You can even use my J3J token. You can proceed with the local development testing, guys. So I don't need to worry about that. You can access the JWT token here. Okay, after that, for the deployment, guys, here user microservice and then also Spring Boot root, that's a label, and namespace. Remember that I have created cloud micro local name. Replicas, that's the number of instances for your application deployment and microservices. And then we have image full secrets, guys, J3J. You can use this one. And then also you can replace the container image quai.io j3.user v1. And then you can specify environment that if you wanted to use this one, time soon, Spring profile, version, Java options, this to 556, and then the size of memory, minimum and maximum. This 50 from minimum 64 to 256, and then from for the CPU 50 and maximum to 500. Okay, and then also we have liveness from, there is the standard to check the port 8081 it is up or not. And then readiness proof, it means you have actuator health. Okay, so I'm going to show you what is the inside the actuator health. And this is the time zone config. You'll be able to get the time zone Asia Manila to match your time requirements. Okay, this is the service. This is the auto scaling, guys. Okay, auto scaling, For example, running in the local machine, you have to get the minimum replicas 1, and then also maximum replica user. So once you have deployed microservice to the seat UAT prod environment, if you're planning to deploy, you have to change, guys, from 50 to 75 ET. In our local machine, that is 50, because we are able to check the auto scaling if this is working or not. Alright, so in the production seat UAT prod, you have something like this. Okay, now it is my limited memory and CPU, so I cannot use this one. Okay, something like this. Okay, right, now I'm going to clean the project, then user, then we start. So I noticed that you have another main method. That means you have two classes that they are using main method. So we are supposed to use only one, guys. Now there's something I'm missing here. We need to use the login API, guys. Because we don't have API here, login. Okay, so we're going to create that login API. 1 second. User, source, main. We're going to explore, guys. XYZ, microservices, user, API. Just copy, then replace. Okay, take note, and that's it. So this is the API. We're not supposed to use lagging ingress controller, because once you do that, your Swagger will be displaying something like lagging ingress controller. So when the business user will be able to explore your Swagger, they don't understand about the REST controller. Let's say you have the business analysis team and they wanted to check your API if they have meet the requirements. For example, if they have API listed in their requirements. Okay, so just use lagging API, not REST controller. Do not replace with this name. Okay, now, so I mentioned earlier that you have two classes. Okay, how can I fix that? So when you run the restart, you have two. So we're going to visit this to remove the main method. Okay, imagine we have main method here. That's enough. Don't create another main method. Okay, so how can I remove? Here, see, and I'm going to remove. That's it. Close. Start. Then I want to see the console. Remind me later. So just double click on console, guys, button. Try to navigate here. Try to explore. We have 12 seconds here, and also we have 8081. Right? You notice that we have also Bootstrap properties config map user cloud trying to access but is not available, and your application is not running inside Kubernetes. That is fine because we are running using Eclipse. That is still working as long as your Docker is up. Okay, So now we have another port 8389 that you are going to launch the LDAP server, meaning you have LDAP server running inside the 8081 application. Okay, so actually there's something I'm missing here. So we don't have LDAP. How can I get? So let's try to explore. For example, resources, Java. Here, going to copy, then paste. This is your data LDAP. So this LDAP server is going to get the data inside here. For example, we have different users here. We have user 18, 19. Example, I'm going to search Ben. Yes, Ben. Here. We have UID Ben. That is your username. And then also user password. You cannot decrypt here. You are supposed to use the Spring Security to decrypt to check the value. So what's the exact method that we're going to use that to decrypt the user password? So you're going to use password encoder. For example, I'm going to explore here. Password encoder Spring Boot. This is a password encoder. We can check how can we decrypt, or either we can check the matches if they're the same. Okay, something like this. Encode. Oh, that's a new one here. I don't think we have decrypt the password. That's only we have encode and then also match. So we can compare between two. But take note, but if you wanted to change the password, you can use this one encode. Let's say 123, then encode. Then just replace this with the new encoded password. Okay, guys? But actually, you don't have to do that. I know what is the exact password here. Let's go back to security.config. So if you wanted to disable the security, you can use this one. Then off, you can comment out this line from 79 to 99. And then also, I'm using this one, encryption password. So you can use this one, something like this. Code, then, right? Okay. Now I'm going to running, guys. So I'm going to restart. When you restart the when you restart the server, it is running as local environment. So how can I change the environment? For example, here, run configuration, navigate here, user application, and there's no Spring profile, that is environment. So you can choose the different environment here, the prods sit UAT. So I'm going to show you guys. So actually it's running now. Let's us try to navigate local OS 8081. 8081. Remember that Now we have XYZ user microservice local. How can I get this one? We are supposed to use the application property user microservice local, because maybe you are using cloud micro local client namespace, then check the config map. Where's the config map here? Here. XYZ, then kubectl get all namespace. Let me see, cloud micro local. So I have horizontal authenticating here, so I can remove for now. Ops, delete. Okay. Okay, it's delete. So you're going to delete all inside the cloud micro local. Now I'm going to check the kubectl in namespace cloud micro local. Namespace you can type anywhere, guys, in the first line, and then also in the last line. Okay, for example, get cm. So I have a user here. I have to delete cm user. Cm means config map. You can even type here, guys. That's it. So you don't have a user config map. Now, have you noticed, guys, the Spring Boot is automatically reloaded but not restarted? So once you have deployed the microservice inside the container means that it's not restarted. So your application, it will tell you is as being restarted. Yes, that's correct, but the container itself is not restarted. Okay, don't worry. So I'm going to show you now. So it is user microservice local. Okay, we have the version name. We have the base URL, that's a Swagger user microservice. You have Jessery website. You can put here, link in your profile, and then send an email. For example, here login API or C. So when you present it to the client, if you replace this name with the REST controller, let's say login REST controller, what does that mean? You have to explain it. So I'm suggesting you to use this one, login dash API. And this part, the user microservice, that is running in the local environment with the version 1. User microservice version 1 is containing the different APIs such as user LDAP out API, and then also user LDAP lockout API. So how can I put here the description? That is amazing. So yeah, navigate, guys. Here API operation you can put, and then API LDAP. Okay, now let's try login, then password. So access denied. Why? So this is example, access denied. You can get the reference number. How can I get response body, guys? So let's go back to the class. Logging response. Then you have another API response here. Okay, so now I know the exact password, men's password. Now you'll be able to get the JDBT token. So hi Ben, welcome to Cloud Certified Microservices Professionals. Okay guys, So this is the standard microservices template. If you are going to create another microservices, just to copy and paste and replace the microservice with the new name, and then you have to refactor. Okay, I'm going to show you how to refactor. Before that, let's us follow the documentation. For example, I have provided here kubectl namespace cloud micro local. Then you're going to deploy. Okay, guys, are we ready to deploy? So we're going to deploy. Not yet. Okay. So the thing is, you have to, for example, here, let us explore Docker image. Cloud user. This is, so you can find the differences here. This is the Docker tag, but I cannot tell which Docker. So Docker image, this is the one we're going to use in the local. So we can remove. We can remove everything, guys. Okay. So I have to close this one. Then I'm going to run properties. Then you can go to this folder. Click on this one. Okay. User. Then right click. Git bash. Close. Close. Then I'm going to deploy script, guys. It doesn't exist. Deploy local. Once you have successfully deployed in the local machine, then you're going to create another config map dash local. Instead of this one, you can going to create the config map dash dev dash sit dash ut, as well as this one. Okay, so what's going to inside here? So the first one is we're going to log in Docker. So our repository is quiet. Then username Jessry J, organization. Then the password login token here. Then mvnlin package. Then build. We have the version. If you wanted to change the version, then we're going to tag with the from local to the public repository. Okay, then push. Then call this one, right? So if you don't want this one, then you can go the side here. Okay, so now is h key is key a. Okay, and then you have to add here key as because you are running outside the key as folder. Okay, run. Login succeeded. That's the first one line. And then I'm going to compile and building the source code using Maven. Then I'm going to build Docker's image based on a Docker file. So I'm going to download. So remember that we have 5 the benefits of microservices container platform. Okay. The first one is high availability, that we're not going to address this one in the local machine. Once you deploy the microservice in the cloud, then you can address the high availability. For now, we have a high availability, high scalability, strong security, self-healing, and resiliency. Okay. So the next one is now we have the successfully built the Docker image. The next step here going to push from the local image to the QI. Right at QI. Okay. Let us wait for a little bit time. It will take some time for the first time because you already delete there. Now we have the local Docker image here, guys. No, it's different this one. Let's try to search user. Okay, that's is correct. So we have a local here. That's a local Docker image, and this is the public repository, public image. That's why it will take some time because earlier I deleted, but normally it will take a few minutes, a few seconds or minutes, something like that. Let us just wait for a little bit, minutes. So for now, we're going to explore, guys. So again, right. Okay, the next one is now, guys, we have the global config Kubernetes plugin. You're going to install dashboard, ingress controller, metric server, but you don't have to use dashboard Kubernetes because it will also affect your laptop performance. So I don't need this one. Okay, only 2 that you're going to install the plugins. For example, here install ingress controller, also install metric server. Okay, so we have microgateway. I'm not going to show you that how to create a microgateway for now because I already provided the extraction here. Microgateway development, for example, use the complete dependency info XML file, but you already know how to create the project file. So all you have to do is to put the dependencies info XML. Earlier that I showed how to create a project, for example, how to create a microservice setup, something like that. Okay. And then also the last one is a microgateway. And then you're going to create a web route, something like we have only 3 properties, packages, sorry. Security config, example, main class. This is the main class. Then web routes, that is optional if you don't want to add there. So in case if you want to modify the CSS JavaScript, you can put here. Okay, the security config here, something like you have to specify the microservice path, deposit, withdrawal, per user, mac server. Okay, but you can even use the properties file, then you can use the value annotation. to get the value from the properties file. Then application YAML file we have here. This is a Spring local. You're going to access the Spring Boot admin dashboard, something like, and then also we have the control global course configuration. Instead of doing the course configuration per microservices and cache, you don't have to do that. Okay, in microgateway, what we do here to configure the course, for example, allowed origins asterisk, meaning all microservices, all servers that will be able to execute the microgateway. But if you put the specify the server domain, then you can put here something. Okay, so I'm going to show you how can put here something like this. If you have the multiple, something like that, yeah, for example, here's something like this, the HTTP sample, what others, I mean, ebc.com, something like that, https abc.com, okay, https api google.com, like this. Okay, if you're running the local, you don't need this one because you don't have other service. Okay, I'm going to reply. And then also guys, if you have deposit microservice, a user microservice, you can use the user http localhost 8081 and then 8082 deposit 8083. Okay, but once you deploy in the container guys, you can replace it. Instead of this one, you have to create another config map dash dep, and then you have to change this one. For example, once you have the container, so the user, what will be your namespace here? Namespace, something like this. Okay, I can say micro.dep service. That is the service discovery that that is the one of the example in the service discovery and service registration. Every microservice will automatically be registered without knowing your IP address and port. Okay, right? So now we have only the config local, but let's try. Okay, can you try that deploy in your local machine, then change that once you have the service. Okay, next let me check. Yes, it is successfully. So how can I check this one? Kubernetes kubectl get all in cloud micro local. It is successfully running. Don't worry about the docker config the JSON. So yes, from the JSON format is not compatible, but it's still working. It's config map secret user created. Okay, so now let us try to check if there is a kubectl get secret. Config lumaw JSON. Okay, you can paste here cloud micro local. You have there, see, it's still working. So describe what's inside. So you have docker. This is the token, this is the login token that we are using from Red Hat Quiet. And then you have 12%, 50%. Okay, now you have also kubectl get ingress in micro cloud micro local. So you're going to access the local 8080 443. Okay, for example, local os 443. Here, let's see. So now it's YC user microservices local. You are running in the Kubernetes ingress, and then as well as this local, let's see. So previously we have user microservice local, right guys? I think it will be replaced with the new one. So we're going to refresh this one, 8081. Oops, it is not running. Okay, it's running. See, XYZ. Okay guys, so now the next step is we're going to use the load testing. So load testing here. So we're going to use getfoo. We're going to copy here getfoo. You so kubectl git hpa watch dash w means watch. Okay, so now I'm targeting the 50% CPU utilization. Once I reach the 50%, I'm expecting those paths should be automatically increased from 1 to 3. Oh, you see, you get the 6%. Now I'm going to load testing. I'm going to use the load testing. Here, example, copy, paste. So do not copy this one guys, because they are not the same as you notice this one. Okay, just type kubectl in cloud micro local exec -it, copy, paste. Yeah, I remember that we're going to use launch PowerShell instead of this one. And Gitbash is not supported in binbash in this one. Bins, okay. So I'm going to use for while launch PowerShell. Now, how many paths I have here? I'm going to show you that. Oh, there's none, because I did not specify the namespace. Don't forget always the define namespace first. Okay, so I have only one path here. I'm expecting that I will be able to get 3 paths. So then copy exec it. network place. Okay, kubectl in cloud micro local sec minus it v h c while sleep 0.1 do url. Actually guys, before that I'm going to show you here. Once you execute this one, so you're going to specify the container here on this one command. For example, here pin mash. Oh, now as you notice that I have root user. I was able to access here inside the container. If you're going to run here http local et81 inside, the local host et81 is not belong to our local environment. There is a container environment. Actuator held here. Okay, so we are going call. So for example, about the service discovery name, how we be able to get the service name? So q as http user cluster micro NAS local, then service actuator cluster micro local service. Okay, let me check. Could not result. No, we're not. Sorry, this is wrong. So it's not clusters. We are using cloud namespace, right? Cloud micro local is missing. Yes. So we still need the specify port because we are running inside the pod, not the container. That's why we define once we have launch microservices, we don't need this port 8081. You can have user cloud micro local sbc slash at Twitter health. The next step is we're going to launch the pod load testing. Okay. We see then command while sleep 0.1 2 loss 8081 actuator kill. As you notice guys, it should be 3. Let us wait for a bit. It will increase. Still 14%. Nothing happens. Let us just wait. 8%. Oh. So this is what it looks like here when you run the load testing. So something like this, I will be able to get, as you see, guys, you are now getting 946%. So the rest, your current path is still running. As you notice, it is still working, it's not shutting down. Now we have create another 2 containers, 2 pods. Okay, so even though we are not able to get the more than 15%, we are able to handle 946%, even we have only 3 pods, guys. So let us wait for a little bit. Now it is running successfully, guys. As can you tell, guys? All right, can you see? So this one original pod is still running, then will be added to 2 instances. So next, the replica, our replica is 3 compared to the previous one. So 3 pods are running in the local machine. So imagine we have a different request. We are going to handle the load testings from 50%. So I don't think that you will encounter the performance issue for the container. So you will not experience, instead of you are using the virtual machine vertical scaling, you will experience ice cost that, because the virtual machine is different to container. The container, once you increase the number of applications inside the container, you will not experience ice cost. As you see, we are being consumed 248%. We still be able to manage that. Okay, so I'm going to stop now. The next one is, guys, ingress load testing. What is that ingress load testing, guys? There is a load balancer. Okay, so I mentioned here, we're going able to access HTTP localhost Swagger UI HTML. So in your refresh, it is still working. Now I'm going to test the increased load testing, guys. The next step is this one. Launch PowerShell, check the ingress, and start the ingress load testing. Okay. C means containers that we're going to launch the 400 concurrent workers, and then we are going to also to launch the 3,000 requests along with 10 seconds timeout. Okay, copy, and then I'm going to launch here. Okay, guys, this is the ingress without port 8081. This is the 443. That means load balancer that we're using. Okay, now we have to consume 7%. It's gone. Wait, let us just wait. Now we are getting 10% based on the concurrent workers 400 and 3,000 requests. This is the example here. We are able to get the total seconds, slowest 4 seconds, and then fastest average. The response times, we are able to handle 10,492 response from different requests. So here we have a latency distribution reported. In 0.0 seconds, you'll be able to get percent. And then also the maximum time you'll be able to get 1.35 seconds for the 19% to reach the exact 10,492 responses. Okay, so let us wait. There's no react. Now we are getting 257%. Now we are getting 8%. That means it is done. But I don't see any response here. So let us just wait for a little bit. Actually, we will be able to get that here. No response. So it's still the same. I'm going to use Ctrl Z to stop the running. Now again, we are getting the 1,373 responses. So we are getting 12 seconds. Compared to the previous one, we are able to get the 10,000 if I'm not going to stop the K command. So let us try again. Have to clear. Okay. Okay, it is done. I think it's only we have 1,932 and then we have 30 seconds total. That is still working. And then we are still managing the 6%. Okay, guys. So the next is, guys, I'm going to discuss about the cloud micro gateway. I'm going to stop here. So now you're already familiar how to create a user microservice. The next step is cloud micro gateway. So I'm not going to show you how to create cloud micro gateway because I think we don't have much time here. We need to finish that. So for example, we're going to close this one. Then so now we are getting 316%. Actually, we're getting sometimes we're getting the delay result from the SPA, but we are still managing the 316%. Okay, meaning when you are executing the hey command, meaning it's not completely done. They are still requesting to access the API. Okay. So the next is cloud micro gateway. Open. So I'm going to ask you to try to conduct the exercise while at home if you have time. Okay, guys, then you can raise some questions in the Facebook group. This is the complete the source code that you are looking for, guys. But we can explore here. So micro gateway, we have here micro gateway application. What is the inside? Here. This is the lazy loading. when you get the new APIs, when you deploy the first time for the new APIs, you don't have to wait for that. So the microgateway will handle non-blocking APIs. Unlike Netflix tool cannot handle the non-blocking APIs, you're still waiting for that. With routes, security config, and then also you have the Docker file. Don't forget we're going to change that. Let's say what will be our port? Bootstrap 8765. Okay. And then you can to add the Kubernetes YAML file in relation to the user microservice. You can modify, you can try to explore, guys. Okay. Now I'm going to launch. I wait. POM. Yes, this is okay. So I'm going to navigate first document, guys. So we have microgateway development. We have used the following the classes, the following corrective packages, and we have the complete dependencies here. Okay, and then for the key Kubernetes YAML file we have here, guys. Yeah, something like this. And then also we have deploy local. Okay, you can deploy now into the Kubernetes Docker. And then also micro monitor development. We can specify the properties in a POM XM file. Let's say Spring Boot admin version 2.4.3. The next one is we're going to add this one, the starter server, and the plus dependency here. Okay, admin dependencies. The next one is use the following YAML files and script. We have the config map local here, and then also deploy YAML file. Micro monitor. Okay. The next one is we have micro monitor here. Deployment script. Next one. So since that you have since you have micro monitor microservice for your user microservice and deposit microservice and withdrawal microservice, you have to use this one in your microservice. Okay, then you have to add this one. The next one is we're going to add the properties file localhost 8761 register once false. Then you're going to access jessicaj@outlook.com. Put a spring username and spring user password. Why I have another the variable? That means it will replace with the current Kubernetes config map that you have defined. For example, here security cloud, here Spring Boot admin client username, this one. Okay, and then also another one is micro monitor. Okay, now so Spring username, imagine that we have deploy config here. For example, we don't have here actually, so we can click on this one. Here, guys, so you can put also here, for example, Spring username, something like this. Then you can put here jessicaj@outlook.com if you wanted to replace with the current application properties file, if you don't want to use the config map, something like that. So if you wanted to change the version, V2. Okay. Spring local environment is def sit spring profile, that is for config map local environment that you are using. In case if you are using def, just to rename that the config map. Okay, def something like that. Sit VAT create. So if you are running, for example, user microservice, I'm running the local. Okay. User, I'm running the def. So I'm expecting that def microservice will be display in the Swagger. Apply, then run. Okay. But you will notice that there is a conflict with the config map. So it doesn't change because you are running the containers, right? Remember earlier. So, now guys, have you noticed this? Okay, I'm going to share back. So now you have 6%. Below the 50%, our replica is 1. So you don't have any more containers there. The remaining 2 containers will automatically be terminating because you have less than 50% consume. Okay, so I'm going to check again, and so now this is the original, the path that will not be replaced with anything. Okay, now you have 2%. Okay guys, right? So next is I'm going to launch the 8081. See, XYZ. So if I'm going to stop the container, for example, kubectl, the first is you have to stop the containers. Just delete everything. Then cloud micro local delete cm user. Okay, just delete, and you will notice it will automatically restart here. Let me see reload using the restart context. Refresh. So you are running using microservice def environment. Okay, so running 8081. So the properties application def environment here. So once you define the Spring profile, guys, so let's go back to the run configuration here. Okay, this is a Spring profile. Now the next step is the microgateway. I'm going to run let's go back to document. Sorry, I need to finish this one. So we have the create the following classes, a micro monitor. Then the last one, the config server development. Just add the dependencies, and then also okay. So I'm going to show you how to launch the microgateway. Microgateway start. So localhost 8765, guys. So you notice that you will be getting the internal server error because you don't have deposit microservice running in your local machine. Mac server you don't have, user you have. See, so this is the micro gateway. Instead of choosing this one, user microservice, for instead of defining different ports that you're going to use, you're going to share to the front-end developers, and they will complain a lot about you. Why are you defining so many ports? We are having hard time to develop this code. We cannot do that. What are we going to do? Of course, you're going to use microgateway 8765. That is for all microservices. Okay, so now I'm going to run the Mac server. I'm going to run withdrawal. Okay, Mac server withdrawal, guys. So now we have withdrawal microservice local version 1. We have Mac server. See, okay guys, so now, so what is the Mac server microservice local, guys? If I wanted to execute the third-party APIs, for example, I'm going to create the Mac server, Mac JSON here, constant value here, copy, and then explore JSON formatter to check if this correct format. Example, this process. So it is correct the format. Then I'm going to launch here. So now I'm going to create the API name cache withdrawal. I'm expecting the response body success timestamp successfully withdrawn. And then also we can add delete more 5 seconds VNC. So authorization, UTF, MAC ID, you don't have to define this one. Then status code is 200. So I'm going to create that will generate microservice. So again, you have unauthorized, guys. So I'm going to log in. Ben's password. So hi Ben, welcome to Cloud Certified Microservices Professional. So going to, so you don't have to execute, you don't have to copy authorization bearer. If you want, just in case, just copy the authorization and then put here. Okay, for example, withdrawal, you're going to put here something like this. Home, there is authorization, delete. Okay, click on authorize. But I don't have to use this click on authorize but to execute the bearer because I have the cookies util, remember? So it doesn't need to specify the header because it support because it's still working. I'm going to show you now. Mac server, this one, try it out, then execute. Now you have new API generated. So I'm going to use Postman, guys. So what we'll be expecting, body response. Okay, here Mac server, have to copy here, then paste. No body request. I'm going to click on send button. See, yes, because they're not sharing the cookies between your browser and this the Postman application. Then what will you do? You have to use the user Ben's password in the local using Postman. Then success. Then you will notice there are headers XWC GWT. Okay, I'm going to show you here. That's the company, the set cookie. Okay, you see XYC JWT, that is cookies. Then also you have also authorization better, so you don't have to set it again when you use the same application. Okay, then click on send. Success. So this will be your expecting response body. Now I'm going to execute the withdraw service. So let's try to explore with the withdrawal. Then resources. Actually, the template, how can I create a withdrawal microservice? You just copy the microservice and then replace it with the name. Okay, and then delete a few if you don't need. For example, entity. Then the next one is application set properties. Example, this is a third-party APIs that we're going to use. So we're going to connect the third-party, then HTTPS, something like this, the true, then paste. Okay, guys. So how can I get this one XYZ API post cache withdrawal path? Just navigate to config, API config, and then you have there cache withdrawal, then setter and getter classes. Then go to service. For the service, here, so you have API config, auto-wire inject the API config, and then also you're going to call the cache withdrawal path. So what is inside here? Then go to, this is the configuration for the third-party APIs. Now I'm going to save it, then I start. So you can even use the other than the status code 200 and also 400 different status codes so that you'll be able to meet the requirements. While we don't have access to the different database, we don't have access to the different servers, so it will take time again to verify your identity if you are complying with the requirements, standards, security. Then especially you are the first time employee, you are the new employee in your company, so it will take a week. Yeah, so especially for the front end developers, they cannot afford to wait for your API. Yeah, because they are starting to design the UI. They need the UI mock, something like this, if they are able to connect your API. Okay, now it is running, guys. 8083. Instead of directing access to 8083 port, you don't have to do that. You can go here. It's 765. So now it's 8765. So withdrawal, then try out. So there's no validation data, that is fine. We have a string amount GDVT, that is fine. Then click on execute. Remember, we have delay 5 seconds, guys. So have you noticed, guys? They try after, please wait for a while. This is what I'm talking about, resiliency. Resiliency means wait for a while, so that the plugin developers will not be able to get the internal server error. This is another feature in the Spring Boot resiliency. When you deploy into the container, this another microservice will support that. So please wait for a while. So what are we going to do? We need to reduce the delay seconds. Remember that I have added the delay seconds, because this one resiliency, because you have 2 seconds the withdrawal. Once they reach the 2 seconds, meaning your microservice is getting slow. Imagine that there is not the actual delay seconds for your productions. Usually more than a minute. For this local environment, this is for the testing purposes, that you'll be able to get the circuit breaker features. Okay, you'll be able to test. Now I'm going to change the 10 seconds, guys, or 20 seconds. Save. And then restart. Remember, we have withdrawal service, guys. We have fallback response here. They try after, please wait for a while. And then this is our actual microservice that we're going to execute. It will delay more than 5 seconds. You will be getting this API response. Okay? Then we have another also example here. If you don't have a REST template, then you can apply it to your entity service. Okay? For example, you're not calling the third-party APIs, then you're going to apply the circuit breaker for your database connection. Okay? You have another microservice that you have delay 5 seconds. Now it is done running. Then I'm going to execute again. It is still the same. Right. Try after a while. Slow, yes. In circuit, factory, 10-20 seconds, because that's specific custom. So you will notice that we have different logs here. It's not related to withdrawal. How can I view the withdrawal logs here? For example, we have microgateway logs. Then I can navigate to different logs here. Something like this. Withdrawal. Okay. So of course you don't have a Spring Boot admin. Okay. Alright. So then I'm going to create another Mac server. Okay. User, I'm going to log in again. So JWT will be expired after 15 minutes. So how can we set that JWT time expiration? Here. So JWT token here. JWT expiration time. Milliseconds, that is equivalent to 15 minutes. Okay. Okay, run. Now again, navigate to server. I'm going to create another 15 0 delay seconds, cache withdrawal 2. So you can also get this response body here. Example here, response ID. So you'll be able to get this without using Postman. Okay, we have a Swagger that will be used by third-party companies and partners that they try to access this Swagger, the centralized APIs management and microservices. Now then I'm going to double check. Paste. Same. Then withdraw server. For example, here we have a delay seconds here. Let's just say I'm going to use 1. So you'll be able to get the response from the origin from the server. You'll be able to get http.org, http client, something like here. So because even it is not for fallback operation. This is not about a fallback operation. If you reach to 22 seconds here, compare the 20 minutes. So you are getting the delay 22 minutes here response. Now I'm going to execute I should be able to get the response instead of getting the response from circuitbreaker. Okay, same. So the problem is, okay, let's find out what is the issue here. I already injected the circuitbreaker in the time. Okay, I will get back to you this one, guys. For the moment, maybe we need to set the time that you are expecting the delay seconds for now. So just coming out for now. As long as you have a reference or example delay also seconds, we're going to try to also withdrawal API here. So you're expecting getting the hello world, right? So once you're not able to get the seconds, maybe there's something wrong with the configuration here. Yes for Jason. Let me try 2 seconds. So while waiting for that, now I'm going to launch the micro monitor. Okay, so that you will be familiar with the microservice monitoring, guys. So our password and username that we are indicating inside the application properties file. Here we have jessrj@outlook.com, we have admin. Okay. Um, host 8761. How can I find this port, guys? Here you can navigate inside the Bootstrap properties 8761. Okay. Now I'm going to launch. Guys, Wolbert, that means we have successfully deployed microservices, and green is color. That is a green color. Withdrawal, user, Mac server, microgateway. So you can click on micro applications, then you can search here, something like this. Then when you search, you can define the specific environment that you are using. And then click on this, then Kubernetes running inside, which is false. Your this space, meaning you're not running inside the container, right? This is for the micro gateway, guys. And then I'm going to explore. We have threads here, live daemon, peak live, and then we have consume 330 to 223 MB up to 5.3 gig. So there is a maximum available memory in our laptop, but our size, the current size available is 313 MB against 222 MB. Okay. Now then I'm going to explore, guys, metrics. You can define here configuration properties. This is, instead of looking for the config map application, the properties, you can check here what they are using properties, what are the property key values here, something like that. Now if I wanted to change the debugger, something like this, I'm going to show you withdrawal micro gateway. Withdrawal. Withdrawal microservice. Okay. Suppose it you're going to update the logging level root 1 from 1 to debug. Then also you don't need to do this one, guys, because we have a Spring Boot admin micro monitor that you can update. Instead of updating the config map, then you can have here loggers. For example, loggers, I'm going to look for XYZ microservice, that is for micro gateway. Let us check with withdrawal service, then click loggers. Then this is the XYZ microservice if you wanted to change. So compared with that, we have here debug 1, logging level root 1. So if I want to change something like this, info, yes. So you don't have to set the logging level inside the source code, and then as well as config map, you don't have. Okay, if you wanted to debug, just click on debug, trace error 1 off if you don't want to show the logs. Okay, now this is the Wolbert, this is the micro monitor. I'm going to explore journal applications. Okay, what else? Let's moving on to the global config, guys. Again, I'm going to visit this one, user. Remember that we have user microservice dev. Then what if I'm going to use config map? Is it possible that config map will be replaced with the global config? Yes. So I'm going to show you now. kubectl apply dash f key is config map. Oh. Okay. If you wanted to check the config map here, namespace cloud micro local get cm user, so the value describe cm user. So I'm expecting that xyz user microservice local will be displaying in the Swagger. Okay, I'm going to refresh. Now I'm getting this right. So now if I'm going to run the global config here, the config user, the properties. So if I'm going to launch here the global config, that will be displaying in the microservice gateway. Okay, so how can I stop it in case if I don't want to use the global config? You don't have to stop the global config server, guys. You don't have to do that. So what we're going to do is just put the properties inside the application or update the config map. Okay, for example, application properties file here, user. Here, guys. So you can stop here if you don't want to connect the global config from user microservice. Okay, so you can copy here and put the inside the config map. That is fine. Okay, sometimes the local host that we are not going to use in the containers, we are going to use exact service host name. Okay, once we deploy microservices to the container, then you have to use this config map. If you have different environment, you're going to create another different config map deploy. Okay, so now I'm going to run the global config. What's happening here? I'm just curious. So guys, we have user global microservice, and then we can go here user, then navigate to user logs. If my user microservice, is it able to connect to the global server? How can I find here? So you can find here fetching config from server localhost 8. Now you're getting user dep, then you are not connecting to the global config. Let me see because you are running the global config map, guys. So now I'm going to update here something like, yes, I did that. Copy and config local map, place. Then I'm going to replace. Take note, this is XYZ user microservice local. Okay, then I'm going to replace. So let us wait for the server is restarting. See, it is being restarted. I'm going to refresh. It's nothing. Let me see what's happening here. So it tells me it is unchanged. Okay, 1 second. Config map local. I already updated here. I'm going to save all. Then let me try it again. It is still unchanged. Okay, I'm going to replace it. Oh, I see. Doesn't change. So I'm going to comment out for the moment. Now I'm going to run. So user plugin. Is it I? Ah, see, it's different, guys. I'm confusing because we have different folder here. We're not supposed to access there. That's another exercise earlier that I have discussed. We are actually using the mastering cloud microservices. So now I'm going to launch another git bash inside here. Git bash. Cube ctl user key it's configure. Now let's wait. Restarted. See, detector change config map is automatically restarted. Now it's going to check. So I'm expecting that should not be XYZ. Okay. See, guys, did you get the screen? I was able to display the user global microservice. Okay. So it's possible. So once we have the global microservice, every time you make the change inside the user property, you will need to restart. For example, user properties, I'm going to put here 2. And then I'm going to refresh the whole page. It's still the same. And then if you're going to restart, what's happening? Now, so we have the global config microservice. I'm going to refresh. So it's not restarted. Why? Because your microservices is not restarted. So what I'm going to do, meaning you have to restart user microservice. That is one of the disadvantages that we are using global config map. Instead of using config map that is for global, you can define here the global here config map. For example, just go to Bootstrap properties. Then we have the client namespace. You can change the client namespace that you are setting the global properties. Then go here. You can change it. For example, global config here, something like that. So that's one of the advantages that you don't need to restart the server user inside the container. It's automatically loaded. When it comes to Spring Boot global config, you have to restart the user microservice if you made the change in the global config. So if you have the permanent global config, so when I'm going to use the global config Spring Boot, when? If you have the global config, meaning you don't have the dynamic values, that's the final value, the value we're going to set. It's not oftentimes that we're going to always it's not always going to change the value inside the user properties. Okay, so now I'm going to restart this. It will be reflected in the Swagger. So while waiting for this one, guys, okay, let's proceed. Let me see what's going on here. Now it is done, guys. Now I'm going to refresh the whole page. Now you're getting the user global microservice 2, guys. Then let's go back to the withdrawal. We need to fix something issue there. We should be able to get the response, guys. Ben's password, execute, and then we are able to get that. And then withdrawal and cache, try it out, search. So you are getting the error. So we're going to check internal server error. So unrecognized SSL message because HTTPS local 8765 unsupported, meaning we don't have HTTPS because right now it is not running the HTTPS. If you are running the HTTPS, it should work. Okay, so we are wrong defining inside here. Now instead of withdrawal, the config map, instead of updating the application properties inside the application, we can use the config map, guys. So I'm going to copy here, paste, okay, and then for the moment we need to replace something like this withdrawal. It will replace all. Okay, now the config map user withdrawal place on. So for that Spring Boot Cloud username that we're going to connect, for example, if you wanted to connect the Spring Boot admin client username, right? So there, for example, here going to replace this one, config map local. We don't have a LDAP inside the withdrawal, guys. And then is okay, so we're going to replace this with the encrypted value, echo base 64. That's it. Then you can copy everything here inside HTML to big map local. We're using withdrawal. So config map withdrawal service local. Here. This one. Oops. Kubernetes. If you are confusing, close others. Then click on this one. That is withdrawal, and then check withdrawal. Okay. This copy. Third party. So change the project. Wrong. So it has been created. Now we're going to check the withdrawal logs. So it has been automatically restarted here, as you notice. It's only 4 seconds. Let me try again. Guys, success. As you noticed that I did not restart the withdrawal, the server. So I was able to get the response body from once you apply the config map based in your changes. So once you apply the config map into Kubernetes, you don't have to modify the application properties inside your application. You don't have to restart. So only the containers will be reloaded. The whole, the config map and secret. Okay. So I was able to get the response body. So now I'm going to show you the GitHub repository here, guys. I'm going to push the config map here. Yeah. In case you are interested to get the template or initial template, just let me know, because I don't need to remind everyone. So if just let me know, message me on the Facebook group. Then GitHub repository. There is the private repository for the Spring Cloud microservice template, as well as Eureka template. If you are interested to get the Eureka, imagine guys, I don't have Eureka server. So the question is, why we should need the Eureka service discovery? So that's fine if we are going to use Eureka service discovery. That is for exact the local host name. You'll be able to get the service name instead of Kubernetes service name. So And then if you have a service discovery, you have extra memory, extra platform to take care of your microservices. So I think we already address our client requirements for this one. So there are 5 the benefits of microservices container platform. Remember? So we have 5 as long as we are able to address that requirements. So we don't need Eureka service discovery. For the existing legacy application that you have deployed in the cloud, I'm going to share you the service discovery Eureka from the GitHub. Just let me know. Uh, not all the students are interested to get the Eureka service discovery. Not all. So there are some people needed to use the service discovery, especially for the VM virtual machine requirements. If you are not using container platform, so you don't have resiliency, you don't have high scalability, but you're using scalability using virtual machine vertical scaling. That's the problem with your budget. You will experience high cost. Okay, so just let me know. I did not discourage you to stop using Eureka server. So that is fine if you want to continue to use that. That is for legacy application. It's still working. It doesn't have issue, but the problem when you increase the number of instances for Eureka service discovery, you're going to add, just like I show you the demo regarding the auto scaling. So what about the Eureka server? You're going to add that. Okay, guys. So Eureka Soul as a load balancer, you don't have to use that because we have the Spring Cloud the gateway compared to the Eureka Niflex Soul. The API gateway, you have to take care of the cache, you have to take care of the security. Unlike the Spring Cloud Micro Gateway, we have everything there. There's no need for you to configure something like cache. You're going to add the cache? No, you don't have to do that. So all you have to do, add the Maven plugin inside the Micro Gateway. Okay? So then, GitHub repository, let's try to explore. I have the mastering cloud of microservices. So I can invite you here. I have a different branches. If you want to modify, guys, just put your name in your branch. So if you modify something, your code, then just put your name branch or other version. It's up to you. Anyway, don't push your changes to the main branch. You don't have access that. Okay, that's okay. For example, we're going to create a branches. Then I'm going to invite you to add here. For example, settings, the manage access. Invite collaborator. So you'll be a collaborator to be able to push your changes inside the GitHub if you wanted to use that. Okay, so this is a private. Nobody can access the code except for the initial template. I'm going to create the initial template. So what are those included features inside the initial template? So the features is we have here global config, and then also we have user, global config, micro gateway. That's it. We don't have a Mac server inside the initial template. We don't have micro monitor. So you don't have a Swagger. Okay? So you can have user withdrawal. Guys, I'm challenging you to create the deposit microservice. So I'm going to show you just one moment. This is the last session that we're going to discuss, guys. I understand you already tired right now. So I'm going to show you just a few minutes. Copy and then replace, guys. Just copy this. Imagine this is the template you're going to use, and then you have the requirement of deposit. Copy, then replace. Okay, then type name deposit, and then change the notepad here, deposit, deposit. I don't need to use LDAP because this is the deposit microservice that we are using. So how can I remove LDAP here? Just follow the given instructions based on the technical manual guide. Okay, so how to import here existing Maven projects. You have deposit, then you can change your port 8082 POM, and then you have to change the Java, then refactor, rename, deposit, deposit. Okay, this is correct. Then we're going to rename this one, refactor, rename, deposit. Now we are experiencing the issue, so we can copy the security config from withdrawal that is similar to deposit that is not related to LDAP. So paste, yes to all. Then we have to delete the login API. Oops. So you have to close all, delete this one, then click on security config. So you don't have, so press Control Shift O to fix automatically imports. Okay. Then the model, that is fine. You have to change the login request delete. Okay, the service delete. Then the Swagger config, here you have to change here withdrawal API. Okay, withdrawal API, and then you don't have to use authentication filter because you don't have a login. And then about the properties files, don't forget to change this withdrawal. Okay, sentence 882. Then you can copy there deposit, copy withdrawal API and replace it with. So how can I replace it? Replace refactor, a name, deposit API. For the service, you're going to add copy because you're going to use the third-party APIs, right? So then deposit API, then paste here. You're going to replace there refactor, rename, deposit service. Response. Success. So what is the error? So we don't have a cache withdrawal request. Then you can copy the request model. Just copy. The replace model. Save. Factor. Rename. Cache deposit request. Factor rename. Update references. Update similarly. Finish. Okay, I understand now. Review the changes before activating refactoring. Okay. It is not working. Oops. So what can I do here? You have to create another class, guys. Class deposit request. Just copy here. Delete this one. The next is deposit service. You have to replace this one. Cash deposit. Replace all. Now you have API config to get so we're going to change, for example, deposit service. We have to copy API config here. Withdrawal, copy. API config. So how can you change here? Deposit path. Cash deposit path. Now I'm going to replace. Oh no, deposit, get cash deposit path. Okay, Control Shift O. So there's no more error, and there's a few left. API constants. Okay, you don't have API constant empty. So how can I return API constant? Just create this, navigate this empty. Oops, this is not okay. So suppose that we have string utils that is empty. See, it's working. Then system error, you can create. Now it's working, and just to make sure, you have to remove those code that you don't need. Okay, deposit API, then Shift O. Okay, delay seconds. Now this one you have to press cash deposit request. So how can we change this one? Cash. Oh, that's a method, not good. So cash deposit Okay, deposit, submission. Okay, that's it. Then don't forget the application properties here. We need to modify something. Just copy everything here. Copy from withdrawal to paste. Okay, and then you have to remove this LDAP with property. Again, that is 8082, just to make sure that you don't conflict with other ports. Cache. Oh no, that's a deposit microservice. Deposit. That's it. And then next, application UAT. Deposit. Microservice. Application seat. Deposit. Prod. Deposit. Dev. Deposit. Then application properties. Deposit. That's it. And then the last one is deposit. Okay, now I'm going to remove. That's it. Again, I'm going to launch. Start. Oops. If you encounter this error exists in required projects, let me check. Oh, depositing API. Just click on this left side. Semicolon. Our error. Now I'm going to start. So let's try to navigate to microservice monitor. We have deposit. We have just 3 seconds, one instance. Then once you have multiple instances, it will change here, either 3 or 5 2. It depends on the number of instances that you have inside the container or just a local environment. Okay, and then also one more thing, guys. I try to navigate here, deposit. I did not refresh. It should work here. Oh, now I'm getting here, guys. Deposit, but there's no API. What should I do here? Okay, so let's go back to the deposit here. Swagger, why I don't have here? Because you have withdrawal. Deposit supposed to be deposit, guys. Okay, so if you notice that there's no API here, then go to here, Swagger config, then deposit API. Then we start. I'm going to restart, guys. Just wait for a moment, a little minute, guys. This is the last day that I'm going to share with you, guys. This is a great opportunity. So we have a lot of opportunities from IBM. If you are looking for cloud microservices development opportunity. So we have different IT companies here in the Philippines, in Manila, and mostly they are looking for cloud microservices development experience level. Okay, now it's working. Then double check the Swagger. Okay, Mac server, then go back. Okay, that's it, guys. Now I'm going to run the try out 1 second. So unauthorized, you cannot get. So it's still working. Then I'm going to log in the user. Okay, successful. Then navigate to the deposit. I'm going to try it again. Try it out. Execute. It should work. So now I'm getting here. So if I going to change 10 seconds, I'm going to put 10 seconds. So guys, it's working now. Imagine that you will have to fall back Hello world, guys. So this is the resiliency approach. So previously, I encountered some issue. I managed to change the configuration for circuit breaker. So instead of putting the exact value, the response, while it is loading, then you have to provide the fallback operation. So you have to provide an exact message. Instead of this one, hello world, I just give you example deposit API here, fallback. So you are running the circuit breaker factory, create delay, then run, then hello world. Once then you have to put exact delay, the circuit breaker name in relation to pod or not. It's up to you. So that's okay. If not relation to that delay circuit breaker, that is fine. It's working. So you are going to create the circuit breaker name delay. Then you will experience the more than the 10 seconds because my configuration resiliency it's only 4 seconds, guys. It's only 4 seconds time duration against the 10 seconds. Okay, so meaning you have reached more than 4 seconds, you will having issues. If I'm going to change again, less than 4 seconds, okay, it's success. Now let's go back to the change. I have added deposit push. So I'm going to, guys, do you have any more question about this? Congratulations, you are now cloud microservices. Again, I'm going to check the group. Congratulations, you are now cloud microservice certified professional, and then you are able to address some microservice design pattern. So that is okay if you are not experiencing the microservices development and design pattern. Once you practice this while at home, you will be able to master it, guys. The first thing to do is you have to understand first about microservices design pattern, especially when you are gathering requirements for the client. Then you have to master it, the design pattern. Once you understand it, then you can proceed with the development. Practice and practice while at home, you will be able to master it, guys. I don't think it is hard. Once we have the template, the GitHub, the repository, then you can get the GitLab, the same template. You don't have to rework from scratch. You have to be able to cooperate with other teams. You have to present your templates that we are going to use, guys. So again, you can share it to the template to your team, to your current project, your employer, that you're going to present it. Because the client, we are here in the Philippines, we should compete with other countries as cloud microservice certified professionals. Because around the world, I'm encountering a lot of clients are looking for the microservice developer opportunity. Okay, guys, if you wanted to share the tutorial tips, your experiences, you can post your tutorial here group. The public group is visible to everyone. Anyone can post your tutorial comments, then so that our microservices certified professional, that we have 141 members, that will be able to read your posts and will be able to appreciate your posts, you sharing tips. Okay, Okay, guys, that's all I have now, guys. If you don't have any questions about this, if you have hesitant to use the microservice, don't worry about that. Then you can ask me how can get started with the microservices. And then also you can also review the YouTube, the previous one. Okay? Thank you everyone. Good luck. Again, guys, in case you are interested to get the certificate, just let me know, and also the source code. Okay? Thank you.